So that's what it looks like, what you just had described to you.
Thank you.
So there were 21 young whippersnappers who've been doing all kinds of amazing things. And it was hosted by Sean Bailey. He's one of the youngest MPs in the country. Dean Russell next to him, Keith over on the right, Robin and Margaret, and all the Youth Achievement Awards winners. So you can imagine the energy and the power in the room. And the MPs often say that it's one of the highlights of their year. You can imagine, that's true, isn't it? To have a young person come in from their constituency, be able to give them an award, hear from them for 2 or 3 minutes what they've been up to. It's really amazing. But so many of them this time, making up for lost time over the last 3 or 4 years. Quite incredible. Everybody leaves feeling uplifted, including the members of Parliament. So that's what it looks like. That's the end product of this little story. I'll just tell you briefly. And our work with UPF is quite varied and intertwined, as you've seen, with our interfaith activities. And so I'll go down to street level, and then we'll finish back at top level, government level there. But bringing people together and focusing on our common values and focusing on the public good, which when we do that in our conferences, in our meetings, in our projects, that's the kind of magical ingredient which allows us to transcend our differences and move forward together. That's my experience over many years, particularly with young people. It's a formula. As long as you keep your focus on the public good and don't get into, fighting, factional fighting and so on. It's not easy, but it's a formula that works, especially with young people. So in our case, our project was in a place called Small Heath in Birmingham, a very intense area, as Councillor Mohammed Idris will tell you if you talk to him. That's where we decided to try and make a little green space and have young people create a peace garden. That involved 6 months of preparation. It was hard work. Not easy, because my wife and I are getting on in years, and to connect to young people on social media is not quite our area of expertise. But anyway, we managed to get 12 young men and 12 young women involved. We spoke in I don't know how many mosques to hundreds and hundreds of people. As well as on the street, we like to visit people, our Muslim friends, close friends during Ramadan, and we explain to everybody as we did that. We take a little something for them to break their fast for their iftar, and at the same time we publicize the project. And the project was held next to a secondary school, a very nice girls' school. I'll just have a slide about this later on, if you remember Eden Girls Secondary Academy. The eco park where we did our peace garden is down the drive of the school, and you turn right. So it's right next to the school, on a separate piece of land, but next to this girls' school that we built a relationship with. And the basic aim was to make a jungle into a peace garden. And we started the process. That's what it looked like in the beginning. Bamboo, 2 meters high and very overgrown. So first of all, the 12 young men came together for 3 days, including Kishan, who'll just share with you for a couple of minutes in a moment. Get to know each other, but really get to know each other, not just around the table, but by getting your hands dirty and working together. And also getting to know the staff of the eco park there. So they started to clear out the jungle and from scratch make a wooden fence. Not quite as simple as it might seem. That's Kishan there in the light t-shirt. But that just gives you a flavor of what it's like working together. And then the following week, for 3 days, 12 young women came from diverse backgrounds, quite a few from the local area, Muslim, Christian, Sikh, different faith backgrounds. And they continued the work and leveling the ground and making a flower bed over there that will grow flowers that will then be, seeds will be sent out all over Birmingham to other green spaces. So it'll have a multiplying effect. We brought in a number of prominent people from the local community to talk to in this case, the young girls. Nadia, Nadia's here. She'll be talking to you a little bit later on. She's the faith lead in the Police Crime Commissioner's Office on Violence Reduction, a couple of city councillors. And it's nice to connect, in the city case, top and bottom, the decision makers and so on, with the young people and what they're doing. And it inspires both. The young people get inspired to have people like Nadia coming in and talking to them. And I think they get inspired by seeing the young people working together. It's a kind of a win-win situation. At the end of the 3 days, we present certificates to the young women on the left, the young men on the right, something they can take away with them. And the certificate had on it the National Lotteries Community Fund and the Grimmett Trust. Those were two of the funding bodies who helped us, gave us about £7,500 to do the work. And finally, some outcomes, as well as the Peace Garden getting off the ground and the young people getting inspired. We built a relationship with the school that you saw earlier. The head teacher, who's seated on the left of the right-hand photograph, she's originally from South Africa. She asked me if I'd like to be a faith governor on the school board. Wow. So I said, okay, went through a vetting process. But also they had their GCSE awards a couple of weeks ago, and they invited Patricia to come and actually present the awards to some of the young ladies who'd done incredibly well. They went from way down to about 4th in the country, I think, in terms of grades. So it's amazing. But anyway, the main thing is to connect with the school, and we want to try and take some of the young people who took part in the project into the school as role models and other schools, and empower the young people who are, teenagers, with what you can do through working for the public good. And then, full circle, then we brought 2 of the participants from the project, along with another young lady, to the event that Robert and Margaret had organised in Parliament, the Youth Awards that you saw earlier. That's Mohammed. He's from a project called Dream Chasers. He does all kinds of things as well as taking part in our project. So it's connecting the top and the bottom, empowering and inspiring everybody in the process. So that's what I like about UPF, this kind of dynamism, coming together, keeping our focus on the public good and doing something good. And that's another murmuration, just to conclude. I'll invite Keisha now just to share for 2 minutes about his experience on the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Hello, lovely to meet you all. I was invited to share about my experience a couple of weeks ago during one of the interfaith events that we held in Birmingham. Obviously, with religious freedom and interfaith being quite a key pillar with UPF, it's a huge honour to be invited to share my experience on this platform. This is my first meeting as well with the UPF, so I met a number of people already. Margaret, met you for the first time a few weeks ago, but I'd like to get to know a number of you as well over today. The event itself, obviously, David alluded to 12 young lads coming together. Some of us had already started our professional careers like myself. Others had literally just started secondary school. So quite varying levels of experience with the guys who all came in, but none of it really mattered by the time we actually got stuck in. You'd have seen from some of the pictures, it pretty much was just marsh and a lot of shrub, but then we eventually got some fencing put up. We also got a bench actually put together, but none of this was with any real sophisticated machinery. It was really hand tools and literally working with a fresh cut bark of, a log from a tree. So really having to strip all the bark and actually cut it all into shape and then put it into the ground. It really was a lot harder than it probably seemed to be. But the fence that we actually got up in that picture genuinely was the product of about 3 days worth of work, which I know to the professional probably would take about an evening to put together, really. But it was a fantastic experience. The 12 of us that were doing it together genuinely had not met before, but really got stuck in and felt like comrades at by the end of it. Not only that, when the sort of day activities concluded, we still had evening workshops as well. Some of those topics centered around youths in society today and the different challenges that youths would be experiencing, particularly within Birmingham as well. It is a very interfaith society, but we've been fortunate that we haven't had much troubles between interfaiths, but we have heard obviously stories in recent months about some troubles in other cities, but we had been raising awareness of those kind of topics in these workshops. And another one of those topics was also trying to delve into what does it mean to be a leader today. And that was also when I met Dr. Mike, who joined us for that workshop as well. So a really well-encompassed, rewarding experience. Definitely would want to take part in more youth activities like that in the future. And if anyone wants to speak to me, I know there's not as many youths in the room, but if there are people representing youth who'd want to get involved in things like this, do come to me and I can chat.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.